In the future, Earth has been completely demolished by nuclear wars and it is almost impossible to survive on it. Because of this, a group of humans is sent to the moon to build a base for future humans. Unfortunately, the plan of colonization is a failure, so instead they started mining the surface to get as many resources from the moon as possible. Miners who work for 30 years are only allowed to fly to a planet called Omega, where humanity will live in the future. The trip takes 85 years, so travelers must be put in cryosleep. 50 years passes since human reaches the moon, where many children are born, who are bored of living inside the mines while stuck in a routine. It's the year 2257, and there are a lot of stories floating around about something weird called a crater crashing into the moon and making a big hole. But nobody is allowed to get close to it to check it out. One day, a group of kids try to steal a rover to escape from the mines. Whenever they see guards pass by, they hide behind the rover, but then they quickly come out to keep on arguing about how to proceed. Dylan touches something in the rover to start it, but instead, he accidentally sets on a security alarm beeping all around. While everyone was busy arguing, Caleb looks at a little capsule in his hands and thinks about why they are there. It turns out that Caleb's parents have died, and since he has no family left, he'll be sent to Omega where he'll be adopted by a new family. Caleb knows he will remain a child due to cryosleep when he will arrive. Caleb does not wish to leave his friends, but his objections are ignored and he is informed that he will depart in 3 days after the meteor shower ends on the moon. Caleb remembers some old good times with his father about not being scared of high ladders which they climb together every month. Michael also wants Caleb to see the crater before he died, which he marked on a map. Caleb is sitting alone and he is soon joined by his best friends Dylan, Borny, and Marcus. They get upset to hear Caleb will leave them soon, so they all decide to go outside the facility and see the crater after knowing it to be the last wish of his father. They all steal useful tools for the trip and suddenly Caleb is visited by a police officer that brings him the little case containing Michael's ashes. During lunch, they all discuss about the passcodes they need for the main door. So they decide to convince Addison, the daughter of the security head, who might help them with the passcode. But the problem is she just moved from Earth and everyone thinks she's weird. Addison refuses and goes away, so Dylan goes after her and tells her his real intention. Addison wants adventure too, so she accepts to go with them. Back to the present, Caleb pulls out a cable from the rover and makes the beeping stop just before lockdown is announced. Kids entered the rover and Caleb punches the code. Dylan drives, while Addison decorates the panel with a little bobblehead astronaut, saying it's a good luck from Earth. Kids cross a long corridor and finally reach the outside, where they get to see the moon land for the first time. Marcus takes his heart medicine and after moving on the road they soon encounter a giant structure, which looks stunning even if it is abandoned. Caleb explains the giant structure was to be home for new generations but it failed. After Omega was found, scientists completely forgot about the moon. Addison got upset to know the harsh truth about Omega as she was told, any little mistake they make like arriving late or getting sick would add more time to their contract, and if someone dies before finishing their mining work, their kids must do their remaining year's work. It's all a trap to keep the families working here forever. Addison apologizes for her rudeness and shares stories about Earth, telling the guys about things like trees, the blue sky, and the ocean. After driving to a safe distance, they stop the rover and put on suits to go for a walk. Everyone was amazed to see Addison's suit and all boys are shocked to see how pretty she really looks in her suit. Soon they step outside the rover and started playing with gravity, enjoying the way they can jump extra high. They also saw Earth for the first time, and they were surprised by how blue and cloudy it looked. Addison then teaches boys about baseball. They use stones and sticks to play, but when the rock is hit, it flies away too far because of gravity. Addison sits alone in the memory of her parents and home on Earth. Suddenly she hears a noise and turns around to discover the boys are using an oxygen tank and a rope tied with a rover to fly while using the combination of gravity and pressure in the tank to push them up. Addison thinks this is a dangerous idea and also it wastes oxygen for them, but Dylan convinces her to join them. It was going fun, but all of a sudden Barney's cable broke and he starts to float around without control. The kids rush to grab more oxygen tanks and use them to help their friend, but they were unable to control the pressure and start bumping into each other. this crashing allows them to hold onto each other and put together enough weight to fall back to the ground. Now they are worried if they can reach the crater since they've wasted so much oxygen, but Caleb came up with a plan to search for more oxygen tanks in a bandit spaceship. Barney hates the idea because he's heard tales from his brother that it is full of ghosts. Dylan insults Barney and soon they start fighting. Caleb cools the situations and unites them. When they finally arrive at the outpost, the inside is very dark. While the group ventures forward, they are terrified by human-like figures and let out terrified screams. However, when they switch on the lights, they discover that it was merely a collection of mannequins. Addison notices it is a sample house intended for the moon colonization. Caleb sees a mannequin, which reminds him of his father, sharing stories of his mom. Soon after discovering oxygen tanks and food cans, the kids decide to stay overnight. After dinner, they start a fire and Addison tells more about Earth. She also confesses that her parents got divorced. Her mother left with her brother to Omega. She also misses her brother. Suddenly Barney switch on the music system and lights. Caleb realizes how unfair it is to hide this place from all kids for so long. Furious, they all started hating the colonization systems and start destroying the house. They smash every object, computer, and lead to jump on the bed to have a pillow fight. Later, when most boys are asleep, Addison is still up, and Caleb joins her. He shares that he is worried for Dylan as he is his best friend and will be left all alone when he will leave for Omega. In the morning, the kids get back on the rover, but after 5 hours of driving, the vehicle runs out of fuel. While the boys decide about what to do, Addison sends out a red signal pointing that she is worried now. Now they decided to continue their journey by foot until the rescue arrives. Caleb thinks back about his father's last wish to visit here and feels proud of himself. When they look inside, they're shocked to find a glowing globe surrounded by huge pillars. They enter the globe from a secret door open. Eventually, they find an empty room with only a fake tree in the middle of a black circle and a phrase talking about skies left behind. Addison pushes a button and after that, a white light encases the room and they are suddenly amazed to see Earth for the first time ever. They experience what nature is like and how blue the sky is. Walking around and touching things, they find out it to be an outstanding experience. Suddenly Caleb finds a star mark on the floor. As he removes the panel, he finds his mother's ashes. Finally understanding that his father wanted his ashes to be beside her. Caleb is really upset because he doesn't want to leave his friend, but Dylan comforts him. Suddenly Marcus falls because he's feeling sick. The group helps him leave to reach the rover, but they discover the meteor shower has finally started. Soon, everyone is running under the shower, carrying Marcus and dodging meteors as they fall around them. All boys are very fast and manage to reach the rover, except Addison, who is hit by a meteor. When the boys realize she's missing, Caleb and Dylan go back to rescue Addison. When they reach her, a meteorite hits Dylan and knocks him out. Luckily Addison has a repair kit and fixes his suit. Caleb lifts Dylan and starts heading towards the rover. Soon they reach the rover facing many difficulties. Unfortunately, they discover the window was broken by a meteor too, and now they have to depend on the little oxygen they have left in their suits. Now they are exhausted and fell asleep thinking no one will come to their rescue and they will die out of oxygen. A few minutes later, Dylan wakes up and confesses he is happy for Caleb's Omega journey. Sometime later, Caleb wakes up and is devastated to discover he's already been sent to Omega without meeting his friends last time. In his bag, he finds the picture of his parents and Addison's toy. A nurse also brings him a digital player, containing his friends' verbal messages. Throughout the conversation, Caleb learns about their lives. Marcus started a baseball team, and Addison started a strike for better minor contracts. Dylan and Addison eventually got married, had kids, and even grandchildren too. Caleb is both sad and happy to hear their friends' voices changing as they grew up without him. He starts a new life on Omega, where a foster family quickly adopts him and offers him a good life. Caleb takes some time to adjust and make new friends, but once he has, he goes looking for Addison's brother. As soon as he finds him, he gives him an Addison toy and shares the messages with him, telling him about their adventure on the moon. Subscribe to Universal Recaps and turn on notifications for regular updates. Give a thumbs up if you like our content.